All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
Here we are. It's party time here on a Tuesday. Speaking of party, I done party damn too much over the weekend, so I might be a little tired today, but that's all right. We're gonna get through it here. Always a lot of fun coming out here talking some baseball with my man BJ in the house. What a big week we got at SHIPIT Nation. We got football coming in hot too. Woo! We got some games rolling. We got I think it's full week Thursday, Friday, Sunday, all fucking week. We got some football. So we'll definitely have y'all covered here. So we're excited about that here at SHIPIT Nation. We still got baseball going on, of course. Hey, we can't forget about our favorite sport, baseball. I mean, hey, we grinded all summer. We're going to keep grinding. And matter of fact, the way I feel, BJ, welcome all them football donkeys into my world after you win on Sunday. Come on over on Tuesday and Monday. We'll gladly take your cheese. Come on over. Have some fun, but yeah, looking forward to football starting. I was telling you, BJ, I had my draft last night with my friends. Thought I did pretty well. I was kind of rattling some of the guys there to you and thought I did pretty good from the 10 hole. But
you did.
Time, man. Football just does it for me. It just gets me fired up. Like it's like Christmas time for an adult. Like it's just too much fun. But BJ, welcome in. How you doing? How was your week? And what do you think here about football rolling in?
Same as you, man. You a couple too many beers on Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday. But then you wake up Tuesday and you see some football and you're going, wait a second here. I get to start looking at salaries now. I get to start making some teams. And then you even throw in a little extra juice on Friday with that game in Brazil, or it's Brazil, right? You know, it's kind of throws you off a little bit, but we got it all going. And, you know, to kind of fill some time over the next couple of days, you know, leading to football season. You know, drafters, man, I got the notification today. Their feature 71%, you know, is filled right now. So it's going to overlay. So you can get as many drafts in as you can leading up to that. So no, we're baseball today and tomorrow mixed in with some finishing best ball drafts. And then you're going to blink and go, wait a second here. Baseball, football, college football. This is a very full time of the year. So we're all jacked up.
Yeah, no, usually Tuesday during football season for me, BJ, it's like my off day. Like, because, you know, you got Monday Night Football, the showdown. Tuesday, don't really have nothing. Wednesday, you got to check all your waivers for your other season-long leagues and crap. And then Thursday rolls around, you got obviously showdown again. So, you know, it's a lot of fun. I can't wait, man. I miss it. And hey, I'm in Detroit. Barry Sanders, this shoulder. Barry Sanders over my shoulder there. I mean, y'all know Lions have sucked my whole damn life. So kind of exciting around here. I know I'm going to take it a little bit here for my Michigan team. They're not looking all that good, but hey, whatever. I don't care. They won the national title last year. I'll never forget it. And don't even call them cheaters, because if you can't change your fucking signs, that's your own goddamn problem.
I was going to say, have you watched that Netflix doc yet?
I have. I
haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it, so I might spend an hour or two watching it.
You know, you can say what you want. I mean, for one, NCAA football should have freaking so they can hear their plays in their helmet. Why do they not? It's ridiculous. They make so much money. I mean, come on, man. Keep these kids safe. That's a bunch of crap. But hey, man, I mean, if you're too dumb enough not to change your signs, then, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I mean, they change them in baseball literally pretty much every inning. So, I mean, they know someone's trying to steal their signs. Like, that is one of the biggest gamemanship things in baseball. Like, come on. It goes on in football. They just don't talk about it as much. It's just a bunch of crap. But either way, BJ, guess what? We can't get going here all too much on some football, but I'm excited for it. Like I mentioned, big Lions fan over here, so going to get into it here. But we got some baseball. Let's make some money on some baseball. I'm looking at these games. We got 10 games today. If you look at the overall landscape of the games we got 4 games at 7.5 or under, 2 games, 1 at 9.5 and 1 at 9. The other 4 are in the 8. So we're starting to see where it's starting to get a little bit more, you know, leaning towards some of them 7 numbers and them 8 numbers here, where a month ago, you know, everything was 8.5, 9. We didn't see too many 7.5s. But, yeah, just kind of looking here what we got. Overall pitching, I mean, it's obvious. We got the big man up on top. Sale got a great matchup against Colorado. 1,000 more than Skeens, who I think who's definitely interesting. Skit's a red hot Cub team, been hitting the shit out of the ball. But when you just look at Skeens' game log here recently, now I don't know if it's happening, but you look, he had 82 pitches, 87, 93, 91, where he had been up in 100 for like 6 in a row. Kind of gives me a trend that he's kind of they're winding him down a little bit. So I'm just a little concerned that I'm losing 15, 20 pitches with Skeen. So that does concern me quite a bit. I don't mind the matchup. He's obviously one of the best strikeout pitchers in all of baseball. Definitely can't deny that. But I think today there's quite a bit of options all the way up and down the board. I think that mid-tier has maybe 5-6 guys that you could literally make an argument for. I think most people today are going to open up pitching, and I think they're going to look at that mid-level. I think today may be a day to maybe go higher in some pitching. I kind of debating that in my mind just because I think there's so many good options. I mean, we look for 8K and below. We only have 6 guys at 8K or higher on a slate, which I mentioned has so many low, high, over-under totals. So those guys being Sale at 10-8. You got Peterson at 98. Castillo, who obviously has the A's, I think is going to be fairly chalky. So I think, he's been bad, then good in some instances. Rodon gets a Texas team. The lineup, I don't mind attacking. I just think he's, priced up a little bit too high. BB, you got 8,200 against the KC team. Don't strike out. And then you got Peterson, who's up and down. I don't even know if I really want to go there. So, I mean, you'd think we'd have more options, but that's what I'm saying. I think middle of the pitching road is going to be plentiful. So, I mean, I think like if you went Sale and Castillo, that might not be bad, but there's some guys down below I think are going to get some love. Obviously, Ryan Nelson been pitching really well here recent times. I think he's going to be pretty chalky. But, I mean, 8K and above, BJ, I mean, Sale stands out. But what do you think of these other guys? I think Castillo's probably be pretty chalky.
Yeah, I agree with you. And when you look at the landscape, specifically on DraftKings, because I'm a DraftKings guy, big tournaments, they hyped them up for this week. I know they have the 333 Millie Maker or the 3K Millie Maker.
They got that football audience. They're trying to get their money.
They got an $8.
Boys, come on over to this baseball world. We love you people.
But I love it. And I like how the slate kind of pans out. I believe Sale, his price, just under 11K, I feel he's going to be chalky as well. I think he'll get more ownership than Castillo, just because, they're at home, they get the Rockies, I mean, his strikeout prop on the books is 8.5. And then on Prize Picks, 9.5. So, I mean, these are some big numbers against a bad team. He's my don't overthink it play of the day there. I do like Castillo second in that price range, just because, everything that you said, 9K, he's kind of going back and forth, but when you get these A's, against, a righty, it kind of changes the whole landscape of the offense. Just talking specifically above 8K, those are the only 2 guys. I can make a case for Peterson just because, he's been pitching so well since the All-Star break. I'm all over this Mets money line against, a Red Sox team. They're going to throw out 7 righties today. It's completely opposite instead of all the lefties. So I don't mind him in 8K, but like you said, they're all just a little too expensive. And when I'm talking specifically 8K, if you're not going to go double stud, I'm going to take Sale personally and just kind of, take my chalk, eat it, and move on. Because like you said, below 8K, we do have some options. Nelson, he's been on fire since the All-Star break, just been a completely different guy at 72. But then you get some of these other guys, like I don't mind Bassett at 74, and I don't mind Savali at 63. So I believe we're going to have some options. I love what you're saying, kind of going, higher price pitching and figure out bats. And that will be different in my opinion. But this is a fun little pitching slate. It's kind of tough to decipher now. And that's why I was looking forward to who you like, in the lower range in order. But I'm all over kind of getting off some of this Nelson chalk, even though he's been awesome, and kind of mixing in some volley, mixing in a little bit of Bassett. So it's a lot of different avenues we can go.
Yeah, definitely interesting. That's for sure. There's some expensive bats. If you look on the other side around the corner, Dodgers probably be pretty popular. They're expensive. Yankees are going to be popular. Obviously, we know they're expensive. So I think the tendency for people is going to be, most people are going to start off and look at this pitching pool. I think they may pay down. So I think Chris Sale may not get the ownership he literally deserves. So that's why I'm not overthinking. I think you're right. Just fuck it. Let's just jam in Sale and not even worry about it. If you want to play 5 team, I'd have Sale on every one of them and literally probably mix up my SP2s over there on DK. I mean, if you're looking at FanDuel, he's 11.6 and Skeens is 10.9. And then you got Castillo at 10K. So, I mean, you're getting a huge discount. I think on FanDuel, it might be a little bit tougher to jam in Sale, but I still think you're going to see quite a few go that way. I mean, you look at the pricing too. You got Nelson. He's the 5th highest price pitcher on FanDuel. So, you just kind of, sometimes I like to do that too. If I'm trying to decide, you can go over to the other site and kind of look at what their algorithms are saying for price recent times, so, just kind of looking at that. I mean, it's definitely an interesting pitching slate. Castillo, as you mentioned, very good against righties. It's just the lefties. He hasn't been as good. I think it's like 11% difference in strikeout percentage from righties to lefties for Castillo. But, I'm going to let everybody else play Castillo. I mean, Oakland seems like the team, they're the thorn in your ass. Like they strike out a lot, but dude, they got some power. They can put up some numbers. We like the park over there. I get it all. It's just because it's chalky. I mean, I'm just going to leave that one alone just because it's, I think quite a few people, just because of the discount from the discount from Sale to Castillo. So, but rank them top. Give me the top. You said you had Sale 1. We know that. Other than the 8K, you said you might be able to play Peterson. Anybody, BB, Rodon, anybody else there?
No, they're just a touch too expensive for me. I like some of these one-off bats as well. I know we've kind of been picking on KC, but it doesn't feel like the right spot at 8-2 with the other options that we have. And same goes for Rondon. Like, I like a couple of these, Rangers bats we're going to get to, not stacks, not even really a mini, just kind of hunting power. And then we didn't really talk about Skeens. I agree with you. It's just pitch count. Weather's okay there. I know the Cubs have been, scoring runs, but 9-8 just too expensive. He can actually obviously pitch a gem and they can let him go a little bit longer, but I don't want to mess with 9-8 even at his caliber with something around 85 pitches. So if I had to rank the top 3 above the 8K, I would go Sale, Castillo, and then throw in Peterson just because of the lineup we have with Boston.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. Like I said, though, I mean, Castillo belongs there. We're going to tell you what the rankings are. I'm just flat out telling you, I'm avoiding Castillo. I'm not going to go there. So 8K or less, we got Brady Singer, Harrison, Cutter Crawford. I mean, just with them guys, Singer, I just don't like going against Cleveland. They just don't seem to have too many strikeouts in that lineup. Even though I think Singer is interesting. Harrison, I'm just not a fan. Cutter Crawford's been struggling here in recent times. Bassett, I think, is interesting. It's just bad matchup with Philadelphia. I mean, they're one of the better teams. I think Nelson's very interesting. I think he will be pretty popular today, 7,200. Phillips, no thanks. Detmers, no thanks. I mean, they had Detmers in the minors all year, and you're going to bring them up against the Dodgers all of a sudden? Okay.
I feel bad for him, right?
Right.
It's one of those things.
Dude, okay. That's what I said. I think people might want to jam some Dodgers. Everybody's going to kind of go low end here. But, I mean, Savali, could be interesting. Mats Hendricks, Heaney. Not really interested in too many of these guys down here. But, damn, I think Nelson's the guy down here is going to stand out and above. I think he will be a little bit chalkier. But, yeah, like I said, Bassett's probably somebody you could play. I'm just not a fan too. I mean, that matchup's is tough.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting here. I don't mind. So obviously Nelson's going to be 1. I think 2 Savali lines up for me at 63. He's just a little too cheap. And it's not a huge important game, but they're still, trying to finalize their spot in the playoffs, the Brewers. So I like them 2 leading off. Like you said, Bassett, he's scary because he's got some, they got some good lefties in that lineup, but I can see how he kind of survives at 7-4, kind of getting off some of this Nelson chalk. But I also don't mind a little Walker Buehler. And I know it's ugly, and I know he hasn't been well, or been pitching well, but this is kind of like that spot, right? 7K, getting closer to the playoffs. He could just get you enough versus Angels team that we like to pick on to kind of make it worth the while. Because like I said, I think a popular pairing is going to be one of those 2 studs up top and one of these guys below that 8K range. And a lot of exposure going to Nelson. The remaining will go to Savali, in my opinion. Then little, picks and chooses from the other 5% each pitcher. But I think Walker Buehler's kind of sneaky spot here, 7K. We know his potential. We know he hasn't had it, but he's kind of working himself way back in. So I don't mind that at 7K if you're making a handful of lineups.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I mean, they're kind of asking, I thought I saw here. We'll give a little shout outs here in a minute to everybody, but something, oh, yeah, it's from Andrew here. Singer the pivot off Nelson. I think Savali is probably going to be the more popular pivot off Nelson just because Singer is a little bit more. I think Singer is a pivot, but man, I really have a hard time attacking that Cleveland low strikeout lineup. I just think you're taking your upside away. And I think that's why, you're seeing BJ recommend Buehler to us. I mean, it's a good thought. He went 4-2 last time. He had 90 pitches. We do know his history. He had 4 Ks against who did they go against last time? Baltimore. I mean, pretty good squad. So he's getting a better matchup here with that weaker Angels lineup. So, good chance for a win equity too. So, that's definitely in play. So, yeah, I don't mind that. I think there's a handful of guys that you're going to see. I think pitching is interesting for me. I've been thinking like most of the people I think are going to have mid-level pitching options. So that's why I was thinking Sale for me today on DK is a lock for me. But let's rank the bottom guys here. Who do you got from 8K and below? Give me your top 3.
No ownership. A part of the equation, it would be Nelson, Savali, and then Buehler. Buehler very close to Bassett in my opinion. But I don't mind swapping Savali with Nelson just because of the ownership that's going to be on Nelson. And they could be really popular, but you can get a little bit extra of a discount. Still pretty close. I mean, Savali will get some ownership at 63. But that's how I would rank them. No ownership, Nelson obviously 1, but when you include ownership, Savali becomes 1, and then Buehler 3.
Yeah, I got Nelson, Savali, then I'd probably go Bassett. I mean, I'd think about like a Brady Singer, a BB in that game. Neither one of them offenses really are something that I like to. I just don't think the upsides there with the strikeouts. Neither team really strike. Kansas City nor the Indians really strike out that much. So it's just. I mean, to me, with a guy like Chris Sale, like I always hear me say, like, how many landmines are, what do I got to avoid? Are there a lot of guys that I think can put up 25, 30 points or 50 on FanDuel or, what do I have? I think today the chances of a Chris Sale putting up a 30 burger it's got to be 70 some percent, 75%. I gotta imagine if you put a number on it, that probably be damn close to it. So, I mean, you're betting against that. I think it's tougher. You don't really see that too often where you just feel like a guy's just going to absolutely dominate. We know Colorado sucks. I mean, it's been Chris Sale. So,
and their lineup is ugly today. 5 through 9 goes Stallings, Beck, Goodman, Romo, and Schnuck. Like this isn't a lineup that I'm scared of. So obviously when they have other bats, they're not that scary either, but this isn't your typical little lineup we have here. So I'm all over that. And then to kind of rebuttal your question, who's the next closest guy? If you take away Castillo, because he automatically lines up with Skeens on a pitch count, I don't know, what the next highest percentage of a pitcher on the slate getting your 30 bomb, like what you said. It's a bunch of, mid to low 20s at best, in my opinion. So a lot of upside here. And if the ownership isn't there, I mean, Sale could obviously change a lot on the slate.
Yeah, that's that theory, what I was just saying about what do I think the percentage of chances of this guy going off? Like, I asked myself that question. What do I think my risk here is? Like, what do I feel? Like when I always try to figure that out in your mind. I mean, obviously there's no set numbers we're going to be able to look at, but you play long enough, what the likelihood and the matchup of a guy. I mean, you have a pretty good idea. You know what your risk is. You should at least before you click on a guy. That's for sure. But yeah, Chris Sale he stands out far and above. But like I said, I think pitching is interesting today. So, we'll see. But it's going to hey, we're getting to that time of year where it's getting a little colder out. Obviously, these numbers are going to start dropping. And now too, man, baseball after September 1st sucks sometimes, man. I mean, there's a lot more guys getting pinch hit for, especially when games are getting out of hand. I mean, it gets to be a little bit more tricky. I mean, there's 40 some dudes now on the bench. So, especially these teams that are out of it. But how bad are the White Sox? Jesus, man. 31.
Yeah, you don't. It doesn't really register until you see their actual record.
Right.
And then you try and put that as a player. You're thinking the sport is already hard enough, right? Everybody can make their opinions and about how they're getting paid so much money. Suck it up, play whatever. it's a lot of traveling. You play 3 games, you're in hotel rooms, you're at batting practice early. It piles up as a long season. And to show up every day and know you're going to lose today, let alone one every 4 game or win one every 4 games, maybe. It's a tough feeling, I bet. I don't care how much money you're making. It's got to be tough. Then you show up at home and nobody's at the stadium. How do you get fired up to play a baseball game? So
yeah, it's tough. That's tough sailing over there. That's for sure. Let's give a shout out, everybody. Wardo in the house saying Dodgers benched their guys 8-0. Of course, Don playback on some bullish in the house. Michael W, Jake Swalls, Taco Todd, King of Smack, Power, Andrew Martinez, Keith Vape in the house, Jason Turner, Parabay, and I think I got pretty much Mark F, Casey Henry, Ben Jizzy, everybody. We appreciate you guys being here. Exciting time this week. Now let's be real. Hey, I know I see all your guys' same name there in the chat. Welcome on these football donkeys that are be coming in, winning a few GPPs. Next Tuesday, we'll be, all you boys that got a little extra money that can't help but put yourself in that baseball tournaments. Come on over, boys and girls. We'll definitely let you come on in. That's why they got all them contests a little higher, like you were mentioning, BJ. Yeah. They know what their analytics are and how many people are viewing their site. They know what's up.
Well, they get this week, right? You kind of open up Tuesday because the week's over. You kind of take a peek. Then you have next week. Then as we kind of get rolling through football, then NBA starts. That's always the same fun one. A couple days after that, they throw out some big tournaments. So no, this is the great time of year. Like I said, there's a lot of slates and a lot going on. So a lot of money flying through that app. And if you're out here grinding baseball every day, there's certain things, you pick up that, other guys have no idea, and they might just click on, find the highest total, find course field, find whatever it may be, and just, I'll take 4 from them and 4 from them. And next thing you know, they're in a couple $100 in entries, paying the rake. So right. This is a fun time of the year. Before we move on from pitching, if we get to some bats, one name we didn't mention was this JT Ginn guy. 5,800 at home in Oakland versus the Mariners. It's just interesting because he's 5,800. He's not some strikeout stud, but in the minors, his walk rate was decent, so he has decent control, a decent strikeout rate, and he's about 50% ground balls. And 60 in his first 8 innings. So it's interesting spot at 5,800, which, we play bats that are more expensive than that. And if you find yourself kind of down below 5,800 in a good pitcher's park, I know it's his first, is his first real start. Not aware. No, I think it's his second real start, but it's certainly interesting at 5,800.
Yeah. Then I see too, before we move on, we'll get to address the couple questions here about what do we think about Sale in Skeens build. I think Skeens is a great strikeout. He has the upside, but as we've been mentioning here, his pitch count has been going down. So, 83, 87, 93, 91, where basically the last 5 out of 6 before that, he was way over 100. So I think they're winding him down a little bit, as we mentioned. Seems like there's been some talk and some articles out that they are kind of pulling it back a little bit on him. So that's just the worry. The strikeout potential is there, 6, 8, 9. I don't mind that, but I think he'd probably be better off really going, maybe like a Sale Castillo or a Sale Nelson, or something like that. I think Skeens is definitely, the upside is there, but I don't like that pitch count. I don't. And the Cubs have been hitting the ball pretty well here recent times too. So I'm not saying that a good pitcher like Skeens can't mow him down, but I just think there's a couple flags there that are going to keep me. Now, if you're playing multiple lineups, if I'm playing 5-10 lineups, maybe I'll throw a Skeens in there with a Chris Sale because, you're paying up for it and going to be a little different already. But yeah, I don't mind it. I just think if I'm playing 1 or 2 lineups, it's not a way I'm going to go just because of his just because of the upside there. Yeah. But, all right. Let's move on here. Let's talk some games. We got 10 games we got to roll through here. Of course, we're going to start out here at the 7:07 game. We got Philly, Toronto. We got Phillips going against Bassett. Over under sitting here at 8.5. Low K percentage for Phillips in the teens. Ground ball more to the left side, 51% to 35% to the right. Toronto don't strike out too much against righty. Verashow's the only one. He's at 28.9. Everybody else is here in the teens and below 15%. So, I don't know if you like these Blue Jay bats here. I think, they're definitely interesting just because of the low strikeout here against Phillips. But what do you think here? You like some Blue Jays?
Yeah, I like them a lot, actually. It makes it easy. The prices aren't too expensive. They do have some multi-position eligibility, so it kind of makes, stacking it up a little bit easier. But I mean, we have some power bats. We always want to play Springer and Vladdy, like those guys are it. Vladdy at 56, but I mean, realistically, after 56 and 4,500 on DraftKings, we're looking at 4K for Varsho, Horwitz at 39, Wagner at 3K, Kirk at 33. This is an easy lineup to stack, especially if you were kind of trying to get a little different with a Sale and a Castillo, or like what we were just talking about. You're definitely going to want to utilize some of these bats. Like I said, Phillips just, he's just nothing spectacular, and it's a fun team to stack. They've been playing well, so they're very high on my list. Not higher than some of these other big time teams we're going to talk about, but if I'm making 5 lineups on the day, I'm probably going to have a Blue Jay stack in there.
Yeah, it's just that bottom of that Blue Jay lineup just makes you want your stomach to turn. Yeah. I mean, it's like, it looks like a AAA lineup down there. So, I mean, Springer, Guerrero, obviously 2 guys that you could look at on the other side of this. Philly, like we were talking about, we like Bassett a little bit here. Schwarber, obviously the top of that lineup. I mean, this lineup definitely got some power. Bassett, 25% K percentage to righties, 19% to lefties. Ground balls a little higher on the righty side as well. Fly ball percentage to the lefties. So I don't know, Schwarber, somebody you might want to look at a one-off. I don't think you'll get too much leverage there, but I think Schwarber is kind of interesting.
Yeah, Schwarber and Harper for me. I mean, just lefty power, and we know that's Bassett's problem. So not really scared about anybody else in this lineup. And the Phillies fall into that mini stack kind of range for me. Have a couple of lineups with Bassett, have a couple of mini stacks with the Phillies. Hopefully, the home runs he does give up, you get the bats right. But, if you're making tons of lineups, they fall in for minis, but they're not in my top 5 lineups to stack. So just some one-off power and a few minis.
Yeah, I wouldn't have them in my top handful. I'd say they're kind of more in the middle, but of Philadelphia and actually Toronto, I think I got them pretty much on the same level for the most part. I mean, I like the lefties as much as I like the top 2 righties on the Blue Jays. I like those guys just as much as I would like the other 2. I think, as you mentioned, more of kind of a mini side for me, but I think both those 2 are kind of in the mid tier for me. I mean, not at the top, but, definitely not toward the bottom. I think you could get some, there's some guys you could use there. That's for sure. I think, like I mentioned, Dodgers, Yankees are going to be pretty popular here today. But moving on here to the next game, we got Boston at the Mets. We got Cutter Crawford against Peterson. This one's sitting at a 7.5. Peterson, 29% K percentage against the lefties, really down 14.5 against the righties. It's basically cut in half there. Fly ball percentage is higher to righties. He is a ground ball pitcher, 66% to lefties, 50% to righties. So, I mean, obviously, you mentioned you want to have guys hit the ball in the air. Tyler O'Neill hits the ball in the air, 41%. I think that's a guy we could look at here today as a one-off. But, man, Cutter Crawford's been getting his butt kicked here recently, too. So I think these Mets are a little bit interesting for me. I think I'd probably have them ranked a little higher than the Phillies and the Blue Jays. But I think the Mets are interesting because Cutter Crawford's been getting banged up pretty bad here in recent times. Yeah,
no, I love that take from you. They're on my list as well, just a little bit lower than some of these other teams. But how can you go wrong? They've been heating up, getting ready for a playoff run. I think they're a game out. And then get Cutter Crawford. So, the Mets, I haven't spent much time on them, but they're definitely on my list. Who would be your 2 favorite bats from that side if you were stacking?
I mean, just kind of looking at the numbers. I mean, he's got a higher fly ball percentage to lefties, almost 36%. So I think Nimmo would probably be at the top of that lineup. Obviously Lindor, I think is very good, especially, I mean, that dude's in the MVP conversation, and I haven't really played as much Lindor probably as I should, embarrassingly enough to say. I mean, the dude's been just absolutely killing the baseball. So, I mean, I don't mind the top 2 guys there in that lineup. As far as ground balls go with Cutter. We don't have to worry about that. I mean, so I just think the Mets here are an interesting stack. It's just, you got to go back and look at that over under in that game. And I mean, it's 7.5. So I think that is kind of tough, but yeah, I like some lefties there. I think that would make a little sense for me here in this one.
Yeah. And then going over to the Red Sox bats. I mean, this kind of falls into my conversation about Peterson. I mean, the one right-handed bat, because he's been pitching well. I mean, almost a 30% strikeout rate to the left-hand side, less than a 5% walk rate. You give it up no power to either side really this season. Ground ball rate at 66% to the left-handed side. And we know, we aren't scared of very many of these right-handed bats. You obviously said Tyler O'Neill, but I can't really pick out another right-handed bat that I'm really scared of in this lineup because it came out a few minutes ago. I mean, I'm already in on the Mets money line, but I think I'm a little bit higher on Peterson now.
Yeah, I think this game is interesting. I mean, I hope the Mets can win. The Tigers are obviously coming up and trying to chase a wild card. So Mets or Boston, KC, and Minnesota, you're on my shit list. But yeah, I mean, I think this one, it's just hard for me. I think I just like I like the Mets more. Like I said, the lefties there. But sitting at a 7.5 total, I mean, even though there is 4 games, I don't know. I think there's elsewhere we can look. Moving on here, Colorado, Atlanta, another one sitting at 7.5. Kyle Freeland going up against Chris Sale. Obviously, Atlanta is a huge favorite here. You already mentioned Colorado lineup just looks like absolute dog shit. I mean, we look at the K percentages against lefties, 31.7 for Tovar, Rogers 18, Doyle 20, Tagiva 27, Jacob Stallings 25, Beck 29, Goodman 29, Drew Romo, what is that? Romo's brother, 33%, and Aaron Schunk is like 54%. So, dude, there's all kinds of strikeouts in this lineup. That's why I was saying like 75%. I think betting on the Chris Sale strikeout prop, even though he said it's 9, I think he's got 10 in the bag here tonight, maybe even 11.
That was going to be my question to you. Do you bet over 9.5?
Yeah, I don't mind betting. I like betting on strikeout props more. That's why I was giving old, walking, jiggling booby lady who bets on shit because she's betting on strikeout props on unders against teams that strike out a lot. Like, what are you doing? Like, come on, man. There's better shit to pick on that. But yeah, I mean, this one here is just too juicy, man. It's just lined up. So obviously we're not paying any Colorado bats. I mean, if you wanted to, if you really want to, you can. I don't know why you would, but I mean, there's nobody I would even consider playing. Atlanta bats here against Kyle Freeland. Freeland, the ground ball pitcher to left side, 54%, 41% to the right side. Fly balls, he doesn't give up fly balls. So, I mean, I think it's just tough sailing here for the Braves. As we mentioned, 7.5 total. I don't know, man. I think the Braves could be in that top tier with the Dodgers and Yankees tonight. I'm just going to stay away. I'm going to let everybody else play the Braves here. I mean, they're beat up. You got Harris, Soler, Ozuna, Olsen. I mean, bottom part of this lineup, I mean, they grabbed Gio Urshela. I don't know, man. I'm going to let everybody else kind of play some Braves, but I can see why people like the Braves.
Yeah, they're my number 2 stack of the day. I mean, this is a team that strikes out a lot, and they get a pitcher that doesn't strike out. I know they're ground balls, but I'm scared of some of these guys if they make contact. They're relatively cheap as well. I mean, Liriano is like 3,900 batting in the 6 hole. Olsen's starting to come around. Ozuna is obviously one of the best, not power bats, but ISO and WOBA combination bats in the league. This is a spot for me that if I'm making 3 lineups, I want one of these stacks. I know they'll be popular. I know the over under is kind of there, but that's mostly the Rocky side being at like 2.2 implied run total. Got the Braves above 5. And like I said, I just like teams that, have been striking out. Now they're not going to strike out. And yeah, they're just very high on my list. Ozuna is one of my favorite bats of the day. I
mean, truthfully, like looking at it, I think Liriano would probably be my favorite bat of on the Braves.
39 on DraftKings, I believe.
Yeah.
32. Goodness.
Yeah, he'd be a guy definitely playing. I think that's a pretty good play. He's been absolutely smashing here in recent times, especially against lefties. So, I think he'd be somebody. I definitely look at Ozuna, obviously somebody else, but yeah, I don't mind a little one-off. I think people are going to stack up the Braves more than that I want to stack them up here today. So, man, I think the Dodgers are in a really good spot here. That's a team that I'm going to want to get as much as possible. So, yeah, Braves are going to be popular. It's just not one of mine. I think they're a top 3 stack today. I'd probably put them third. But yeah, I'm going to find a reason to fade. I'm going to let everybody else play him. The next one we got here, Pittsburgh at the Cubs. We got Paul Skeens going up against our man Kyle Hendricks here. 7.5 total again here in this one. So, I mean, the Cubs, man, been absolutely smashing. Got the second highest OPS in all of baseball the last 2 weeks. I mean, they've been really good, but they run into a buzzsaw here and probably one of the best young pitchers in all of baseball and Skeens. Man, I don't know. I think Skeens is interesting. I'm not really interested in any Cubs. I think the Pirates bats, I mean, I don't know if the Pirates bats just don't do it enough for me. I couldn't get there. I don't think there's anything I'm going to play here as far as bats. I think I can just let this one go right on by.
Yeah. Not touching the Cubs side. I did find myself this morning playing a nice little parlay between the Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates today. So I'm hoping that they can score some runs. Guys like Brian Reynolds be one-offs. O'Neal Cruz. I don't like McCutcheon bat cleanup, but you can make a case for some of these guys, specifically one-offs when you look at some of these prices. Grandal 3K, Connor Joe at 35, if you need somebody cheap in first base. But yeah, mostly one-offs for me. Like I said, Brian Reynolds and O'Neal Cruz are the top of my list, but hopefully we could just squeak by on a nice little 3-1, kind of low, kind of playoff-esque baseball game. We can push that 2-gamer across and start the week hot.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, Hendricks has some slight ground ball leans, doesn't give up too many fly balls. So obviously, like I say, you're going to want guys that hit fly balls. And man, you look at those percentages from them Pittsburgh bats, and they are not very good at hitting fly balls. So definitely staying away there. I mean, I don't mind attacking Hendricks sometimes. I don't think that one's a good spot here, obviously sitting at 7.5. So we got the next game moving on here. We got St. Louis and at Milwaukee. We got Steven Matz going up against Aaron Savali. We already mentioned we had a little bit of interest in Savali. I don't really have any interest in any of these Cardinals bats. Now, Milwaukee, I think, is interesting, man. Jackson Chourio, dude, this guy is something else, man. I mean, this guy might be a future All-Star that we're going to be watching every time in the All-Star game. I mean, this guy, he's good.
How many grand slams does he have this year? It's like 3, I think.
Yeah, I think I was going to say 4 when it first clicked in, but it's either 3 or 4. I mean, he is something else, man. I mean, the Brewers, they got themselves a nice little right fielder there. So definitely interesting there. You look at Matt's ground ball percentage, 45% to lefties, 31 to righties. Fly ball percentages are not that high. But I don't mind the Brewers here. I normally don't like to attack ground ball pitchers. But I think the Brewers, something I may want to look at. I'll kind of put them in the same range as I got like the Mets, Phillies, somewhere around that kind of middle range there. I think there's some guys here that you could look at here and maybe use as some one-offs if that's somewhere where you want to go here in recent times. Contreras has been hitting fairly well. I think he's in the top mid-20s or so in OPS in the last few weeks. So I think Milwaukee's interesting, just not up at the top of my rankings.
So they're going to slide in for like my third favorite stack of the day. I saw Gator Nation earlier say he was going to the game. My first thought is you better have a handful of different lineups. He brought it up. Adames has gone yard 5 straight games. These prices aren't outrageous. We have one bat above 5K in Contreras. There's a couple of, I don't know who this guy is. I've read a couple articles about him coming up, potentially being in the lineup. This Brewer Hicklin guy, he's 2K. He'll be popular. So when I look at this lineup as a whole, I mean, we get to attack Matz, who, if we're going to go over there, I mean, he's 11% strikeout rate to the left-hand side and 14% to the right-hand side. I agree with you. The more I kind of look at it after you've talked about it, attacking ground ball guys, could be, a little tough. But I mean, he's just giving up line drives. He's not really getting any swings and misses. And when we kind of, take it in as a whole with some good pitching, I'm going to have a handful of these stacks, full stacks, just because we have value and, we got guys that can score points. And I mean, I don't want to miss number 6 in a row if Adames finds the seats today at under 5K.
I mean, let's look at Matt's game log. I mean, damn, he sucks, man. 3 innings, 7 hits allowed, 4 earned runs, 4 innings, 6 hits allowed, 7 earned runs, 5 innings, 7 hits allowed, and 5 earned runs. So 16 in the last 12 innings that dude has given up. And as far as, homers, he's basically 1 a game. That kind of does. I mean, you look at all them earned runs he's given. He's given up singles, doubles, I mean, 1 homer. So that's what I kind of mean sometimes about stacking against ground ball pitchers. They may give up some runs, but, you don't win tournaments getting singles and doubles. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you see them runs given up, and it does tempt you sometimes. But I like guys that are going to give up that 2 and 3 run homer, and I got a stack, and I got a couple of them guys on the bases. So I think that's why I'm a little hesitant here about stacking Milwaukee. I definitely think it's interesting. They're a fun team to stack. They like to steal bags. So, I think it's definitely something, as amazing agent saying here, Matt's is bad. We agree with you. But as I just mentioned in the stats here, 16 earned runs and 12 things. We only gave up 3 home runs and gave up 16 runs. I mean, that's not, you would think if I told you a guy gave up 16 runs, you'd be like, dude, probably give up 6 or 7 homers, right? I mean, that's basically probably what you would assume. But I guess that's just my point. I mean, I just don't think you're going to win tournaments with a guy who's given up 7 runs and has only given up 1 homer and you stack that. You're going to have a hard, you may cash, but I don't think you're getting to the top. So I think that's what kind of does scare me off that a little bit. But yeah, so moving on here, Cleveland, Kansas City, interesting one here. We got a total sitting at 8. We got BB against Singer. I think both are pretty decent pitchers. Both teams really don't strike out too much. Man, I think this one's tough. I think you can more or less just kind of look for some one-offs here. But I think I'm going to leave this one alone.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the lineup, I mean, Tommy Pham leading off at 3,600. I assume he'll be popular. He's been playing lights out, and it's just like, this is, the most fun I've ever had hearing his name running around, it feels like. And he's not even playing that well. He's striking out 25%. So he's leading off, obviously Bobby Witt and Sal Perez for me from that side. But when I look at this game, that's exactly it. I'm not really excited about any of the bats. I'm not really excited about any of the pitching because they're a touch too expensive. I know this is a daily fantasy show, but if this number gets up to 8.5 somehow, I'll find myself on the under 8.5 in this game. And I just think, like, for some of these teams and some of these pitchers, it's a long season. And this kind of adds up, and they're in the dog days. They're excited about football too. Their teams aren't necessarily in the run. It can't be as fun. But yeah, don't want to mess with any of these Royals bats. But looking on the other side for the Indians, I mean, there's some guys that have been hitting the ball well, and I don't mind minis here. I mean, our guy Ham calls him Christmas. Noel. He went yard. On Friday for us, and Quan, hasn't been playing the best leading off, but his price is down, and you can always go with Jose Ramirez. So I don't know. I find myself with minis here, not in my first 5 to 7 lineups, if you will, but I'm definitely going to find a mini if I'm making 10 lineups for tonight.
Yeah, like I said, I think this one is just one that I'm just going to let go. I haven't really stacked these two teams all that much, even though, like I said, if I was going to stack anybody, with any of them, the Indians, I don't mind going against lefties. So, man, I don't know. Too many safety meetings. Been coughing all day. I was telling BJ I done killed myself this weekend, drinking high noon, safety meetings out at my RV resort, was playing some cornhole all day Saturday. Man, sitting in the sun, boozing it. Good times.
Do you
wore me out like 4 days in a row?
With those high noons, you have heartburn?
No,
a lot of those
the only one that
seltzers,
gives me heartburn, I'll say, is the lime one. And the grapefruit, I think. The grapefruit gets me too.
Yeah, it's like that wannabe acidity. But yeah, no, I last night made the mistake of drinking White Claws, and man, all night long I was just getting torn up, man. And
yeah, those I don't.
So I think I'm taking
off.
those off my list. I think so.
Modelo's my favorite beer. Obviously, those who know me, I love some Modelo's. I start getting into the teens, all day boozing. I start getting that bloating and feel like shit. I found the high noons and neutrals don't do that to me. Like, especially at 50 years old, man, you smell something that gives you heartburn, you get heartburn. Like, it sucks sometimes. And I hate laying there at night too, like tossing and turning because my stomach's acid's on fire. It's like, fuck that. I got to drink me some. I like them high noons. Plus, them high noons, I do not seem to get hungover, man. I wake up the next morning, I'm feeling pretty good. Like generally, as a rule of thumb, I wake up on, 10, 12 Modelo's. I feel like somebody done punched me in the head sometimes. But yeah, I think, Michael W., I definitely pushed the limit. I mean, I just haven't learned. I just start having fun, man. I don't care. I just keep going. I'll start drinking, having fun. I just have fun. If somebody wants to go have fun doing something, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go have fun. I'm not here. I mean, we're all on this earth for a short period of time. I've seen too many crazy shit in my day. I realize I got to maximize all the moments I have in life. And that's what I try to do. I mean, it's just, hey, got to have some fun, man. That's what life's all about. That's why we're here, BJ. We have fun playing DFS every day, man. That's fun. That's what life's about, man. Have some fun.
Exactly. And to finish, I mean, we're going to get into this weather where you can't go out and hang out and party, all day and stuff. So you got to eat it up while you can before we're all
boy. Listen to San Diego boy telling a Michigan guy, pretty soon it's going to be cold. You can't go outside. You can't run out to your damn car without putting on your damn boots. You put on your flip-flops to run out to your car. My ass got to put on them big moon boots so I can run out there and, run out there. Like,
no. Where I'm at now, it gets into the, the 20s at nighttime, some of this. And there's a nice little breeze going through. So I'll stay inside for a day or two and make sure you get Instacart going and stuff like that. So
I always laugh at my friends and family from like Florida, mostly. They're in the warmer type climate in Arizona. They always say, don't be playing any kind of cards with anybody from Michigan or bowl, like up north, because they all know how to play euchre, all the card games, because we sit inside all damn winter. That's all we got to do. Like, don't play cards with somebody from the Midwest. They generally kick your ass because that's all we do in the wintertime.
That's funny. So, the tundra of Riverside County. I'm San Bernardino County. That's where it's at. So we're on top of the hill. But that's Benny, a funny one. That's a funny one.
That's funny. So, but I will say, man, I've always said when Manny Machado signed with the Padres, everybody was giving him shit, right? I'm like, you been to San Diego? Dude, if you got that much money, you're a young guy like that. Like, dude, San Diego would be the nut place to go. Like, period. Like, dude, that place is awesome. Like, it's nice. It's the women out there are great. I mean, like, the weather is great. Like, what? You want to sign all that money and get stuck up in Detroit or Minnesota or Kansas City? Who would want to do that?
And he did it perfect too. So he's in Coronado. And I mean, it's just on the other side, just a little island behind the stadium. So, I mean, you get across the Coronado Bridge, in 12, 15 minutes. So you're right by the stadium. He bought a house and bought the neighbor's house and tore them both down. Now he's finishing building this immaculate house on the beach. Like you said, you got it all, man. Downtown San Diego, it fits his very, kind of chill baseball style, kind of jogging to first. So I think he's the nut spot there. So I love that.
Yeah, I like this one here from Power saying he grew up on playing spades. I like me some spades too. I've been playing a lot of spades in my day. That's always a lot of fun. The computer spades is actually probably the best computer card game I think you can play. It's the spades on the computer. I mean, I thought it was always fun. So definitely like that one. I as I said here, he's asked us this twice. Y'all like Washington pitcher for 5K, and
Washington.
I don't even think Washington's on our slate.
Yeah. I haven't looked at Turbo.
Washington's not on our slate there, bub. So I don't know. Maybe if you're looking at the all-day slate, maybe that's possible.
Yeah, let's
see here. Are they all day?
Yeah, they're the Marlins. They're against the Marlins.
Yeah, what are they? 640.
Yeah, they're just off.
Yeah,
the
this
slate.
One starts at 7:05 and after. So yeah, that Washington. Yeah, they got a 640 game. So when I saw that there, I was thinking, what? Did I miss a Washington? Like a guy named Washington?
Yeah, I'm not looking at the slate. I mean, it looks like it's Patrick Corbin. I don't play Patrick Corbin, so he's giving up.
He's asking 55, about the strikeout prop. Corbin strikeout prop.
I don't know what it is. 4.5. If it's 4.5, that's a stay away from me. I don't even want to dig into that. But
go there. I mean, I think that's a 50-50 call, to be truthful. Corbin's strikeout percentage is 20% and 16% to righties. You do have some Ks in that Miami lineup. A bunch of them at 25% to 30%, basically 6 out of the 9 guys. So, I mean, the strikeouts are there. I just don't think Corbin is a guy. I mean, he could get lucky, but I think that's like a 50-50 shot, to be truthful. Yeah. So moving on here to our regular games here. We got 10 games to go. We're getting into the warmer weather now here a little bit here as we get out west here. But we got the Yankees going out to Texas. Game total sitting at 9. We got Corbin against Andrew Heaney. I think the Yankees are going to be a pretty popular stack. Heaney, low strikeout rate, 21% to lefties, 23% to righties. The ground ball percentages are a little low, 33% to left side, 35% to right. Fly ball percentage about 30% to each side. So, I mean, we obviously know these Yankees have some power. Got a few guys back here. This lineup seems to be a little better. I think Yankees are one of the better stacks. I got them right up there with the Dodgers, my 2 favorites. I think the Braves are in that tier too. I'm just not as big as a fan of the Braves as some may be, but yeah, I think this Yankee stack is definitely interesting. And that Texas bullpen is not very good either. So I think that's something else here to consider too. So definitely think the Yankees are going to be at the top of my list here today.
Yeah, I would agree. Just for fun, you've probably seen it, but just to see a 519 WOBA for the season for Aaron Judge, I mean, that's just an outrageous number. So his ISO's 441. We know, he's leading the MLB with all those home runs, but those are just wild numbers to see at the start of September when you look at it from a season-long perspective. I know that's specifically just against left-handed pitching, but this part of the season, he's got 170 ABs, 160 ABs versus him. So fun. He's under 7K. I don't see where you could go wrong in this lineup. I mean, they're up top for me as well. The only guy I can't get behind, which, when I don't play him, he's obviously going to hit 2 home runs today and make everybody else all the money, but I can't get behind Stanton at 5K. I know he's been heating up a little bit, but 5K is a little bit too much for him. He goes down as one of the most frustrating batters to watch whenever I roster him. It just looks like he's kind of taking stabs at the ball. Now, when he hits it, it goes a long way, but unfortunately for me, he just falls into that. Some of those White Sox batters for me, it's like I'd never have, confidence in him to get on base or hit a home run when I play him, but can't go wrong here. I mean, I would.
Stanton's actually 15th in OPS in the MLB in the last 2 weeks. Hitting 262, by the way. He's 11 for 46. But yeah, I mean, he's 15th.
How many home runs?
He's OPS 1.016 OPS. The person in front of him at 14th, you want to hear the names in front of him? Shohei, Jackson Cheerio, and Norby and Adames, and then Guerrero. I mean, he's literally in the same tiers as those guys the last 2 weeks. Man. And you wouldn't think, right? Like when you said that, I thought, I think he's been struggling too. And I look back and I was like, oh, damn, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That just goes in to show you, like,
lineup's so good. Remember when we were ripping on that there was nobody behind Aaron Judge, that they were putting Wells and Trevino back there? They're walking his ass every time. If Stanton's doing that, Aaron Judge could hit a few more bombs than not. So I think that makes that lineup a lot better. Obviously, with they adding Chisholm made it better. So I think it's interesting. Torres finally got his head out of his ass. He's been hitting the ball a little better. So yeah, I think this Yankee stack is a top stack here for me today. And I think they're going to be popular because I think, as we mentioned, you got some low price pitching today. So I think it's going to be a question of Dodgers, Yankees, and what low price pitchers. So I think if you can make a team with Sale and then throw in, a low price pitcher, go some Yankees, go some Dodgers, I think that may be the way to go. I kind of maybe stay away from not having Sale. I just think he's just too good. But you got any interest potentially in these Rangers bats against Rodon? Rodon here, K percentage, 29% to lefties, 25% to righties, ground ball percentage, 35, nothing special, 32 to righties, fly ball percentage now, 31% to lefties, 38% to righties. I thought I saw Corey Seager wasn't in the lineup.
Yeah,
so
he's not.
That drops them down a little bit. Maybe we like Rodon a little bit more without Corey Seager just being a big part of that lineup. But I mean, obviously Semien, Jung, Garcia, somebody you might want to look at with that fly ball percentage. I mean, Rodon is just kind of hard to go against.
Yeah, he is tough. I mean, It definitely changes my whole perspective on Rondon. I got to go look at that now because I know it's one bat, but it changes the whole outlook of your lineup when Seager's not in, and you start to look at 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm not scared of any of those guys, and I'm not really scared of Lowe or Jung necessarily. So before, my 2 one-offs were going to be Seager and Langford, maybe a little Garcia. But now I just think it's Garcia and Langford, and I mean they're cheap. Langford's 38, and we're used to paying more, in previous seasons for Garcia, but now he's 4,400. I could see how Rondon has a great game, but might give up a bomb to one of these guys. So I got to go look back at that 85 and kind of change a thought with that lineup out now.
Yeah, I think Wyatt Langford be the guy I'd say is my favorite. He's got a 40% fly ball rate, so I think that'd be kind of put him in front of the line for me. Donut Man asked a decent question. 14 days typically your statistic window for DFS batter projections. I do like the 15, 14, 2-week mark. That's my favorite thing. I just believe the humans, with anything, like I don't care what sport you play, what you do is yourself, like bowling, any of that shit you go do. You're going to be hot and then you're not. It's just the way it works. I like to try to ride hot, hot hitters. And I try sometimes when I think it's just something I keep into my, into my process. I sometimes if I'm undecided for a pitcher, like today with the Cubs with Skeen, Cubs been hitting the ball really well. If I was undecided between Skeens and somebody else, I probably might stay away from the Cubs just because they've been seeing the ball really well. So I think baseball more of is a game of streaks than any other sport. So I try to use that to my advantage. There's no statistics that just prove everything. Like playing baseball is kind of like playing Hold'em and poker. I can tell you should play your two aces every damn time, and you're going to yell at me when you lose 40% of the time. Like it doesn't mean you're going to win. We just try to play the right plays and stack them right and, try to do things right. So, 14 days to me is definitely something that I think. How do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I agree. Certainly. I like to go up to about 30 days just because there's a few more at bats, a few more batters. So you can kind of elongate, how many opportunities they have, but anywhere between that 14 and 30 day marker, I'm down for. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to our second game, I think it's the big one, highest total of the night. We got the Dodgers and Angels sitting at 9.5. Obviously we got Buehler, who we mentioned. You mentioned you have a little bit of interest in some deep tournaments, MME tournaments. And then we got Reed Detmers coming back. This dude spent quite a few innings and starts down in the minors when they were struggling to even have some pitching. So what does that tell you about Reed Detmers? They must not really like him. They're throwing him the wolves, I feel here. His fly ball rate to lefties is 40%. Ground ball rates is low. You just hearing that, you're thinking Shohei, holy shit, Shohei's going to could hit a bomb here, lefty. So I don't mind that at all. You got Freddie, who's always done well against lefties. So I think, even if people stack them, you may see, people decide to go Mookie instead of go Shohei or, along those lines. Now, we've talked before about, like some of these fly ball percentages. Will Smith is almost at 45% fly ball percentage. So I like that too with Will Smith. Detmer's been walking a lot of guys. 11% to lefties, 9% to righties. This guy's just not very good. I think this Dodger lineup up and down is interesting. Now, remember, 40-day, we already saw somebody put in chat. They're up, 8-0 game, and all of a sudden, they're pinch hitting everybody. So that is a little concern, but I think the Dodgers, for me, my favorite stack here today. You can even play the bottom part with Kiki, do you love me? Or you can go with some Chris Taylor, too. So, but I think the top half of this lineup is definitely interesting. I think Dodgers my favorite.
Yeah, and then additionally, what you said about, them going up and getting pulled, if you're playing these top guys, chances are they're already scored points. I know we want to add as many as we can, but it's not like some of these guys are getting pulled to 0 or 2. Majority of the time, they're getting pulled during the double digits. So couldn't agree more. I was just going to say, I don't want to top anything because I agree with everything you said. I love those top 5, top 6 batters. But is there anybody sweeter in baseball to watch hit a double or a single than Freddie Freeman? He goes down as one of my favorite guys. When that ball comes off, it's just the form is so nice. The way he kind of like drops the bat and kind of, hits, it turns first. So he goes down as one of my favorite single and double batters to watch. But yep, love them. I mean, they're top 4, top 3 for me. Kind of depends on how the lineup works out, because then that kind of dictates if I'm going to have to go down at pitching or I can sneak in a couple of these value guys at the bottom. But if it's anything like projected, they're up top 3, top 4 for me.
I'll tell you what, right here, Michael W. Revenge night for Ohtani. Is this his first game back in Anaheim? It may be, because I mean they're National League, American League. I doubt they play too many cross games. This got to be his first game back in Anaheim, right? I mean,
yeah.
Anaheim does give up quite a few homers. They're in the top of the major leagues as far as giving up homers. So, dude, that could be a.
So if that's the case, would you rather play Ohtani at 7K or Nelson at 72, right? As a pitcher, right? What would you feel more comfortable if you had to pick one?
Who's going to get more points? Ohtani's stealing bags like he's possessed. Like, I mean, I think he wants to try to steal 60 bags and maybe hit, 50 homers possibly. I don't know. He just, like yesterday, he's second, third, he's just stealing bags. That dude takes like 3 strides. Ohtani's already at second base. It's like his strides are unbelievable. But it's a very expensive stack, but I think it's worth it. As you mentioned, Shohei's freaking revenge game. I mean, the dude just steps up in these moments too. So maybe I'll get on there and maybe look at me a little home run prop for some Shohei. It might be a little low, but maybe we could massage it a little bit with some other guys. I like doing that sometimes, like Ham, we'll throw in a home run prop sometimes. But that's Ohtani game going to be 30% owned. Yeah, I could see that. But I mean, just think about it. You're starting your lineup with a 7K player. You're already telling me you're pretty much paying down at pitching. That's why I was saying with Sale, I think that's going to be interesting. Maybe throw some cheap one-offs. I don't know. I think that's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So we got to move on. Seattle and Oakland. We got Luis Castillo. I think is going to be pretty popular, pretty chalky on both sites against the A's. The A's throwing out JT Ginn. Was he a receiver on Ohio State? I'm kidding. Wasn't he the one that hit his head on the in the championship game and then hurt his head?
Is that what that was on the sideline
when he ran a kickback or something? Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the case there, if I remember right. But I mean, the Seattle bats against Oakland, we don't like the park. I mean, this game total sitting at 8. I don't know. I don't think I could do it. I will say on the other side, though, I think some leverage here against Castillo is interesting, especially from the one-off side. So, let's look at the last 15 days, as we mentioned. Aaron Judge is 1.211 OPS. Do you know who's higher than Aaron Judge in first in all of baseball?
Who's first?
Mr. Lawrence Butler. 21 for 54 with 7 homers, hitting .389 with a on-base percentage of .411, OPS 1.281. Lawrence Butler is fucking smoking the shit out of the baseball. And Castillo, I mean, Castillo, as we know, we were talking about, is somebody we don't mind necessarily going against with that left side. So, I mean, that left side, 19% K rate, the right side, 29% K rate. So, I mean, 230 ISO, 370 WOBA to the left side. We got the hottest dude in all of baseball sitting here against pitcher that strike. I think Lawrence Butler is somebody you definitely could consider it. As Michael W. said, the Butler did it. So, I'm definitely considering some Butler here as a good one-off, but they too.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at
my bad.
I think them guys are in a good spot.
I was gonna say, my bad. He's 4,200 on DraftKings. How are you playing that well recently? And you're only at 42. I heard you say JJ Bleday. He was on my list as well, 4K. So those would be the 2 bats. You named them both. I mean, they would be fun. And as you're looking at it, you're right. We're looking at like 40%. I didn't believe you at the start of the show and you said it, but we're looking at like 45% on Castillo. So hell yeah, let's let it rock. We go back to talking about maybe burning a lineup. The $3 today, it's the $8, 50K to first on DraftKings. Why not throw, $16 in? It's a combo at McDonald's out here in California. So, hey, maybe you cook at home, don't hit McDonald's, and you play a couple of $8 lineups trying to win 50K, and which would include a few of these bats.
Yeah, Butler's 3,700 a couple days ago. They're not even really raising his price. If his name was anything else other than Butler on the A's, if his name was Gleyber Torres, he'd be 5K. You know what I mean? Like if he's on the Yankees and he's hitting like that, he's 5Ks. He's on the A's. I get it's the Coliseum. It's not a park we like. But I'm just there's a few things there that I just like. Like he's hot as hell. It's been the last 15 days. I mean, we got a guy with, struggles a little bit more against lefties who's been getting beat up a little bit. So, man, I think the A's are definitely something interesting, especially with Castillo being so popular. As I mentioned, I'm going to stay away from Castillo. So that's the reason. That's the case. I think Butler would be a great one-off, and Bleday, as you mentioned, maybe even some Seth Brown. But I think Butler and Bleday would be up at the top for me there. So definitely something interesting there. I mean, maybe you could even go a little mini stack there if you don't like Castillo. But let's go collect. Giving you some shit here about 25% or $10 or more on the
It's
BJ,
funny.
or...
I'll keep it short, but I am the biggest McDonald's guy. You guys have no idea. It's whether it's breakfast, whether it's lunch, dinner, I'm all over it. Where they get me is on the DoorDash. They say if you spend more than $20, we'll give you a free item. It's 10 nuggets. I mean, hell yeah, I'm all over that. I'm rocking it in. So you go on there, you get like 2 Big Macs, 2 large fries, and a drink, whatever it is, for like $20. You get the free 10-piece. Lock it in, $5 to the driver. I mean, that you'll eat it and take a nap, but it sure tastes damn good when you're rocking it.
Yeah, they got this $5 deal here in Michigan. I don't know if you all do, but it's like a chicken sandwich or a double cheeseburger, a 4-piece nugget, fries, and pop. It's $5.
Jeez. Okay.
So,
yeah, I'm all over that. See,
if I was
we're
hungry, I just
higher.
roll through, get a double with, get that. Not been a fries fan. It seems like the fries fucked me up a little bit with all that grease. So I haven't been that much of a fries fan. And I've cleaned my truck out too many times when I find a French fry that's under my seat and it looks the exact same. I'm like, oh, hell no. I don't know about eating this shit. Like, that's not good. Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
All that McDonald's food is kind of like that. You leave that crap sitting out, it looks the same 4 days later. It's like, it's kind of
the problem
scary.
is, yeah, well, the problem is it tastes so good, right? So like you said, over here you get 2 for $3.99. So you get a McDouble or a hot and spicy McChicken. So I'll get 2 hot and spicies, no mayonnaise, 2 McDoubles, no pickles. I'm in and out of that drive-through for like $7.67. I'm out. I'm good for lunch. So that's tough to beat around here.
That's funny. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind me some McDonald's, but I try to stay away. It makes me fat. And then, I got to keep my man dad bod going here. I don't want to get the fat guy. I got to keep that dad bod going. That mom's like, I have to check out the old Gyiraszin when he walks by. But I'm joking. I'm too old for that shit. Either way, last game we got Arizona, San Fran. We got Ryan Nelson, who we did say we liked against the Giants. And then on the other hand, we got Carl Harrison. We weren't too sure. The Diamondbacks been hitting the shit out of the ball, though, recently. One of the top teams here in all of baseball. But I like Nelson too much. I don't think there's really any San Francisco bats I'd be looking at. I do think you get some leverage because I think Nelson's going to get some ownership here tonight, especially on DK. So he'll be way more popular on DK than he will on FanDuel. But I think I'm going to pass on some of these bats here for the Giants. But on the other side, like I mentioned, Arizona bats here against Harrison. I mean, all these righties, they're probably going to get Walker back, so I think that's interesting. Harrison does have 38% ground balls to righties, 47 to lefty, 31% fly ball rate to righties. So we're going to want to look at some righties here. I mean, getting Walker back, I think this lineup's going to be a little bit longer. That's why I was a little bit afraid of Harrison there. I think it's kind of a neutral kind of lineup. I don't think it's overwhelming here for Arizona, but I do think some of these Arizona bats are in play and maybe some one-offs, but I'd stick with the righties.
Yeah. And these are important games for them. We just saw it. They just blew out the Dodgers. These games mean something late in the season, and getting Walker back's big. On the other token, I wouldn't mind Harrison if Walker isn't back and you don't get a guy like Carroll or Josh Bell and you just kind of one more, really good bat in that lineup out. But I don't see it happening with what they need to do over the next, 3 weeks to secure that playoff spot. So, pretty even kill. I wouldn't be mad at you for playing it. I wouldn't be mad at you for fading it. We got a question here about Suarez. I mean, over the last 30 days, he's been hitting the ball well versus lefties. 333 ISO, 388 WOBA. striking out at 18%, but he's also walking at 9%. So I wouldn't mind it. I have no idea what his price tag is. I should probably take a peek, but there's a few bats. I don't mind one-offs. I don't mind minis, and I don't mind stacks. It's kind of, if you prefer and if you're making a handful, then I like it.
Yeah, I mean, Corbin Carroll is literally up there as well the last 50. He's third behind Butler and Judge. So, I mean, he's been hitting the ball pretty well, finally coming back in the form that he had last year. Suarez is up there too, as we mentioned. So I think both those guys could definitely be in play here today. All right, we got all our stacks out there. Give me your top 3, and then give me a low-owned one.
I don't even know if we'll start with the low owned. I don't know if the Blue Jays will be that low owned. If they are, lock them in for that. So I'm going to consider them low owned, but I don't think they're super low owned. But then to go up to the top, I think it's Yankees, Braves. And then for me, it's kind of tied between those Brewers and Dodgers. I mean, the reason why is I think the Dodgers are in the better spot and they have the better names, but just how comfortable it is to stack them with prices and the bottom of the order. I think I'm going to have the Brewers just itch out those Dodgers.
Yeah, I got Dodgers 1. I got the Yankees 2. And then I am going to I have a little bunched up pair. I mean, I think Atlanta should be in there. I just kind of fade in Atlanta, but I do like that Milwaukee, Toronto, Philadelphia kind of bunching. I think that is kind of interesting, but man, why does my gut keep pulling me toward the A's for some reason? I don't know, man. It's just the A's. I think if I'm playing a handful of teams, I may have an A's mini stack. I might have a few of the A's just because of Castillo's ownership. I mean, it just seems like it's a pretty good spot to attack. So I think the A's would probably be my low-owned team that I might look at. More of a mini. I'm not 5 in the A's or anything like that. Probably not even 4 in them on FanDuel. But I think 2 or 3 is definitely viable, the 2 lefties we said. So I think that's in play for me. But the fries has your gut pulling you. That's damn true, too. It may be that ketchup, too, man, because I always wonder, how long is that damn ketchup sitting in them packs? You know what I'm saying?
No.
And they're not putting that shit in the fridge at night. So
not a chance. You know what's crazy? And I meant to tell everybody in my life about this. We went to the grocery store and we bought cheese, like shredded cheese. It's unbelievable. Next time you buy cheese, look at how long it's good for. It's good for like 8 months, 9 months. It is the most disgusting thing ever because it's not real, right? But it's just shredded cheese. We're like, hey, that can't still be good. Look at it, January 2025, and you're like, oh, we're not buying this anymore. So,
my pantry gets a sweeping every once in a while. I call my wife the throw it away queen. She'll be in there and she'll have like 14 cans on the counter. I'm like, what are you doing? They're all a month expired. I'm like, okay. It's only a few days. It's in a can, man. Like it's chicken broth. Like who cares? Or it's corn. Like milk. Whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like the old man coming in me when your parents used to rip off the mold on the end of the bread and then try to give you toast. I'd be looking at them like,
yeah, just throw it in the toaster. It burns it. You're good.
Right. I'm looking at them like, I ain't eating that shit. Give it to the dog when it ain't looking. Whatever. But appreciate everybody being here with us today. I got to get over here so we can do the slate plan over there at SHIPIT. But hey, appreciate you guys all being here with us today. Hey, make sure, as BJ mentioned, we got drafters, get over there. There's going to be a huge layover over there. So make sure you guys go over there, check that out. Don't forget NFL starting, get you the NFL 50 code. If you're not a member already, I got to imagine you guys all are already. We definitely appreciate you all. But hey, when we close here, we got a little video. It's only a minute long. Check it out. Make sure you guys check it out for us. We appreciate you. But hey, for BJ, for myself, we are out of here. We'll catch you tomorrow. Good luck in your contest, and let's whip some ass.
Obviously, I'm a part of the SHIPIT Nation community. I enjoy the Discord. I get a lot of information out of the Discord, and then I use the site, so all the slate plans, slate info, all that, the DVP stuff. I would say join a site because they do help and you get all the information and it saves you so much time.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Peace.